Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Well, last episode, we talked with Barricading about the will of Genshin Asugi, finding him more willing to talk about it than we thought, as he gave us the document in question, as well as pointing us towards Maria Gorey, Courtney Side's daughter, for information. We then headed to Barack Van Zeek's former office, finding it to have been taken over by Kazuma, who told us of his journey to Great Britain and how he came to know about his father's fate, before we asked about permission to visit the forensics lab, as we now head on over to the Forensics Laboratory! A forensic science laboratory in the basement of St. Sinner's Hospital. Dr. Gorey has taken Dr. Sai's place as Chief Scalpel Wielder. All you need for a promotion is your parent to go to jail, by the look of it. And then you can fill the laboratory with lots of macabre dolls. This place really is creepy, isn't it? Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of the spirits of the dissected. But actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, the coroner probably needs a bold scent like that to mask the odor of death. Iris, do you think we could change the subject? What was that? Dr. Gorey? What? That noise before. I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. Right. When following the collagen fibers in the dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration? Oh, yes, please. I'd love to see. Then I think you'll do nicely. Huh? No, I wouldn't do nicely at all. I mean, maybe some other time. Was that a tut? Well, we came here to ask questions, so let's ask, I guess. Nice new decor you've got going on here. Time of death. We have actually met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember. You're not dead yet. What? So Mama said I wasn't to cut you open. She's so strict about things like that. Well, good. Dr. Sai has some scruples, at least. Oh dear. It looks like she's not interested in talking to us, for the time being anyway. For the time being? You mean until we die? I hope that's a way off. Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Surely there's some less drastic way of making her listen? Okay, I guess we ask again? If at first you don't succeed. Dr. Gorey, we actually came here to ask you about this. He was very good. Good? Sorry? His skin didn't snag my blade once, and very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with. But we can skip those details. But there is one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. That's not my fault. Oh, that made me jump. Then please, tell us what happened. Let's try again. So, why doesn't this autopsy report include the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail. I was told not to write it. What? By whom? Mail Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here. Lord Strongheart came? He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and the other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on 1st of November when the gunshot was heard. But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Dr. Gorey, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later, you're going to go to the same way as your mother. Give it here, then. Huh? What's she scribbling so furiously? There. You've written... What? What's she written? Tell us! Indeterminate. But... the details of the autopsy report have been updated in the court record. An accurate estimation of the time of death is not possible. Why? What do you mean by that? Why was the time of death indeterminate? When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh, so the time of death could easily have coincided with when the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy. What discrepancy? There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat. And that fish had started to rot. What? If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off. Well, yes. What are you really trying to say? It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death. Manipulate the... Is that even possible to do? Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time, then only the fish would have started to rot. With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not. But today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems. But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. And I don't imagine many households in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not. But maybe in a factory, or some other special places? I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. I wonder, if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow, what might the actual time of death have been? I couldn't say for sure. But at the most, it might have been a day earlier. No! In other words, it would corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. That Inspector Gregson was killed a day before his body was discovered at a different location. Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility? He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity. Oh yes, one other thing. It's something the governor of Barclay Prison told us. He said that your mother, Dr. Syfe, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution. The professor? Apparently, you always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so... we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago. That's not all Mama did. Sorry? My mama carried out the autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks as well. What? Really? The brother of Lord Van Zeeks, the professor's final victim. The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. The detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. That detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man. That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room. The professor and Clint Van Zeeks. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of this country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gorey. Looks like that's a yes, the confirmation of death. The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Barclay Prison's execution chamber and sign the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama is the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her. The execution didn't actually take place. No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know. Oh dear, you found out recently, you mean? I believed in her, hey Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her. You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report? But that's because Lord Strongheart forbade you from including it. Just like Mama. I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too. Yes, that's my feeling as well. There's no doubt there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been in on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs. According to what he told us, he was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I say the same thing. Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? You mentioned the autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks. It was at a time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country, even now. It turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as a secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy! And there was one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Wait, a visiting student? It must have been my father, Eugene Mikotoba. I had no idea Professor Mikotoba had been involved in something so important. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. So that's how they came to identify Genshin Asugi as the infamous mass murderer. Do you happen to know anything about the piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more? Would you like to see the records for yourself? What? Would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed under V at the back of those cupboards, with the other records from the last decade. Thank you. Let's see. Van Zeeks. That's strange. What, Mrs. Naruhodo? They aren't here. There's nothing under Van Zeeks. There must be. Perhaps somebody took them away? No one's allowed to take documents related to the professor case out of this room. But you're right. They're gone. Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember? It was... Oh yes, I remember now. It was 2 years ago. A consulting detective came one day saying that he'd like to see the records. No, you don't mean... Herlock Sholmes was his name. Deep down, I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Oh no, surely not. Iris, that can't be right. Can it? Iris? Bruno? I hope you don't mind, but... What is it, Iris? I've just remembered something very important I have to do. I'm gonna have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh, no. There's no need. You and Bruno can take your time here. Bye for now, then. Good luck. Wait a minute, little girl. Huh? Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago, when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too. That's the way it usually works, yes. Was I? I really don't remember. Anyway, sorry, but I must dash. Wait, Iris? I'll brew up a pot for you when you get home. What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really fun. The next time you come, I'd prefer it if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises, sorry. It's a bit strange that the records of Clint Van Zeek's autopsies have disappeared. But I think we've asked all we came to ask now. So move along. Let's have a closer look at this. Then again, let's not. At least not while she's armed. Can't really have a look at anything. She is not accepting perusal. Well, nice cat in the background. Where are we going to now? Feels somewhat cooler down here, doesn't it? Yeah. Do you know, I don't believe we visited this place for some time. Is that where I'm supposed to go then? In some ways, this place seems to rather suit Lord Van Zeek. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking to Eugen Mikitoba seems to make sense as well. But I'd say I probably have to go to the place where it's trying to hint me to go to, rather than anywhere else. On the 2nd of November, the room on Fresno Street. Nothing was really changed before, but something has. The police are still busily investigating in here then. But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she? Yes, it has been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing what her boss taught her. Well, I expect she'll be back before too long. Shall we wait? Actually, there's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there? We could always use the time to investigate more thoroughly. We could, but there's very obviously an obvious thing we need to investigate. This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. It must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs. There are some initials on the outside. Look. TG. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came to be here. Oi! What do you think you're doing? That's my trunk, that is. And hands off. Hands off. Gina! Where were you hiding? I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got his greedy eyes on it. Just a wild guess, Gina, but... What? Spit it out, Odo. Is it fair to say that you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always has. Where have you been the last year? Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly? Okay. So thanks to Susato prompting us to come here, we now get to talk to Gina. You should hear them talking at the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all of them bludgers. Ah, you mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently, the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free. Yes, the ones prosecuted by Lord Van Zeeks who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. Well then, obviously, it was that bloomin' Reaper giving the orders, weren't it? But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook hidden in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details about all the crimes that had been pegged as the Reaper's work. What? No. Did you see it, Gina? Did you see that notebook? They wouldn't flaming let me, because I'm just an apprentice apparently. But it was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Oh, that's our Gina. The secret notebook. So, you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you? Well, I'll see it. It's my right to read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? Dates, times, places, names, and a whole long list of them. All details about the bludgeons supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly, that's what I said. That's the first thing you think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognized anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known leaders of London's criminal underworld. Well, yeah, but there was one name right at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? I'm pretty sure the date against it was 31st of October. Oh, the day before the inspector was found dead. So, what was the odd name? It wasn't like a name I've ever seen before. It was something like, Nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way. Oh dear, what a pity. There was something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but... Did you say Shin? What? It does mean something. Lord Van Zeeks knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now, we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating and that? The lads at the yard are trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before? That would be the undercover investigation into the Red-Headed League, then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some cove what was pretending to be him, didn't you, Odo? Yes, it was Mr. Visual who actually went to the park on Lime Street that day, posing as Gregson. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. I've got my own ways of getting results. When me and my partner here get together, there's nothing we can't track down. Oh, little Toby, such a faithful friend. So, have you tracked anything down then? What do you think, eh? Of course we have. Can't tell you though, police business, innit? Ugh. Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help, you know who to turn to, right? Me and the hellhound here. Right, because he looks oh so hellish, honest. The hellhound. Gina, about your hellhound there? Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's the pride of the force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems, for a canine at least. It should be. After all, in the great exhibition case the other day, it was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this superdog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch scent of, I wonder? Do we? Something that she could get the scent of. So, you mean it would be something that the killer of Gregson has possibly touched? So his clothes. Seeming we know they were taken off and they had fish in them. Rotted fish. So, we don't have his clothes, but we do have, of course, everything that was viewable there. A lovely tie he's got. So I'm assuming it wants me to present this.
Take that!
Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. He might be a little too keen, don't you think? Ah! The Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Ah, look what he's gone to. Oh my, that trunk clearly still has a very strong scent of Inspector Gregson. In other words, it must have belonged to him. Yeah, well, we know that because TG, but I was expecting it to be like a scent of the killer, not the scent of Gregson. I could have smelt that. It would just smell of fried chips, wouldn't it? Must have belonged to him. Honestly. Oh, all right. It's a fair cop, I suppose. And you nearly got away with it, too. You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, weren't it? That's enough now then, Gina. Eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. It weren't like that. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened. Alright then. What did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. And as soon as I'd done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. To a sandwich, not to a bag of chips. Mr. Nanahodo, I believe Gina means the witness. Oh, I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he had it in between them wooden boards of his, the boss's trunk. Ah, you pilfered it. Filched. You mean, when they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in here? Exactly, he nabbed it from the scene. Goodness. Me and the Chief Inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling. And you know what he said? I thought it might fetch a good price and the chap won't be needing it anymore. So... But that's all I did. Nothing more, nothing less. Would you happen even the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime, then? How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is there something wrong with that, eh? Well, can you get in it? Maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together. I think perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you? What are you on about? I am the police! Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make a detailed record of our examination of the evidence. Gregson's trunk has been entered into the court record. Dog doesn't like us, though. What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Snellhoda, be careful. It must be the trunk. Ah! Toby, oi, what are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off. Mr. Nanahodo, Mr. Nanahodo! Gina, quickly, hail the carriage. Why? What? And so we've moved over to Nanahodo's legal consultancy. Well, I just got my face licked off, and I'm inclined to end an episode there because we want to know what the state of Olizandri and Nanahodo's face is. But that seems like something I can cliffhanger. So tune in next time on The Great Ace Attorney to Resolve as we find out what a dog attack did to our legal eagle. I'll see you next time for more. couldn't figure out what to say then. I'm sure you didn't notice. Bye-bye.